But let's go back a little to your personal life. You met your wife, your lovely wife you are now married to and living in Long Beach, on MySpace.
I sure did.
Wait, we got a picture of you guys
done
together.
Your research, yes.
Oh,
yes.
that's so sweet.
Yes, she's so supportive. She's so amazing, amazing person.
That's great. And
Yeah.
it must be nice to be able to go out to all the clubs and deal with all the drama and then come home to someone who loves you.
Yes, exactly. It really is.
Yeah.
And she's not a jealous person. Of course, there are moments that come up here and there, but we just trust each other. We know that we don't need each other. We want each other. We're both confident in ourselves enough to know that we are amazing human beings, that we are both attractive and beautiful as fuck. We don't need each other to feel whole. We are whole on ourselves, and we can be completely successful without each other. So that makes our relationship so much easy to love and respect each other and want to be with each other, because we know that at any time we fuck up, we can easily lose each other.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure holding on to loved ones and the love in your life is important, because in 2008, you were dealing with oral cancer. Is that right?
I did. I met her. I was actually healing from knee surgery at the time, so I was already kind of off of work, and I was misdiagnosed with herpes on my tongue a few times. I went through rounds of medication, and it wasn't going away, and I found out that it was cancer, and I got diagnosed, I think, like 2 weeks after dating her.
Wow.
And I sat her down, and I knew that there was something there, but I had watched my mom pass away of cancer, so I knew what the possibilities were. I didn't want to make her, guilt her into feeling like she needed to stick around, because you don't know what's gonna happen. So I sat her down, I told her, I gave her an out. I said, there's no judgment. If you want to put this on pause, I will gladly pick this up when I'm healthy. And she was offended because she already knew she loved me and she wanted to be with me, and there was nothing she wouldn't do. So she ended up being my rock and would drive like 3 hours a day just to go to work and come back to hang out with me every night. And she really is what really helped me get through it.
Now, you have auditioned multiple times for RuPaul's Drag Race.
I did, yes.
Tell me about that. I know you wrote a piece for The Advocate talking about some of the problems we have there with the non-inclusivity of the casting.
Yeah.
Give me a little rundown of that.
I auditioned for the race because I wanted the world to see that kings can take up the same space and can share the same stages. And my personal kind of mantra has been kings can reign just as fierce as queens. And I kept auditioning, and I thought I was putting out talented things, but I just kept telling myself that they didn't see me on the show. I wasn't ready for the show. Maybe they couldn't figure me out. So I just kept auditioning thinking, I'm not ready. Because many queens, you hear stories all the time. They audition 4 or 5 times before they go on.
Yeah.
And so I just kept auditioning. And then Ru had that little interview where she spoke her mind about what she thought about kings, and that we don't mix, and that we're not compatible, that we're like an IBM and a Mac, that we're not compatible. And that really, really struck a nerve, because I had been making a name for myself and already traveling and doing things, mixing from the beginning. And I knew that was such a powerful statement, not because it's her opinion, because her opinion is her opinion, and she runs her show how she runs her show. There's no comment on what she decides to run her show. It was the fact that she went public and said this very divisive comment on how women in drag we don't belong, or we don't mix, or we're not compatible. And that was a powerful statement that everyone took back to their local bars and divided the shows even more. And the audience members then still didn't know about kings. And there's so many ways you can introduce a community and a small version of your community and a subculture within your community without having competitors of that community. There's so many ways that she could introduce kings in all these alternate forms, but she made a very powerful statement. So I wrote my Advocate article, as you mentioned, and I got a lot of hate for it, but again,
You did? You got a lot of hate for it?
I did. I had a lot of praise and a lot of AFABs, assigned female at birth people, and transgendered men really applaud me for sticking my neck out like that, because it was a very pointed article that I wrote, and of course it got edited by The Advocate and things, so stuff got said out of it, but.
Oh, right, so some of the subtleties were gone, and it was just headlines.
Most of it was giving Ru the what is it? Giving Ru the acknowledgement that she deserves. A lot of my statements were started with, look, I know she did this. She worked in a van, traveling around the world, holding spotlights for local shows to try to get on stages just to showcase herself. Like, she been working very, very hard to get where she is. So I was not taking any of that, what she's done for the platform, for the community. Without RuPaul's Drag Race, I wouldn't have been able to performing live for a living before I was on Dragula. I recognize that, and I know the hard work that she did. So I was in my article, I was constantly giving like acknowledgement, but all of the acknowledgement got taken out because it was fluff.
Right.
And so it just got to this pointed like, I'm an angry lesbian. I was like, no.
It happens.
But fuck, I'm an angry lesbian at the same
Right.
time.
Why
So
not?
I was like,
Embrace it.
yeah.
So you've continued to slay. Now, you had another cancer scare in 2017.
I
What?
did.
Tell me about that, because you beat it. You've developed this whole new career out of inspiration that you took from your last struggle, and then it hits. Tell me like how you were feeling and how you got through it.
It was very, very quick. I emailed my doctor. He said, send me a picture because this sore came back out of nowhere. And I was in his office like within days, and surgery was scheduled within days after that. And all these tests you have to go through, intense tests that they put other people aside for immediate cases. And I was one of those cases where they were canceling other people's exams so that they can get me in. And I went into surgery not knowing what the outcome was going to be. I didn't know if I was going to wake up and have a tongue left. I didn't know if I was going to be able to eat or speak or do my life's passion, which is perform, because I was going to not have a tongue. And you think, oh, it's just a tongue, it's not your lips, but there's so much that goes involved.
Yes.
And I was hosting shows, and my goal was to get further out, and there was just a lot. So I recorded myself a bunch of videos. I recorded a bunch to my fans, and I broke down the scenario of whatever outcome. Like, okay, maybe get this version with this, so I'm going to talk about this. This version with this, I'll talk about that. And I broke down about 7 or 8 different scenarios of what could happen.
Wow.
And then I recorded a video for my wife in case I couldn't. It was pretty much just saying I love you a million times, because if I could never say I love you again, I wanted to make sure like she heard, whoa. What, you making me cry, bitch? This came out of nowhere.
I mean, I'm making me tear up too, Landon.
Yeah, so I did dealt with it. My wife even threw me a potluck where she had all her friends make me all my favorite foods, because I would maybe not be able to eat again, or in a traditional sense. And went to surgery, woke up. Of course, I'm all swollen, so I couldn't talk immediately. And she's like, "You're fine. They took it all out. You have less of a tongue mass now, because they keep taking out more and more tongue." Which is horrible for a lesbian.
No, God.
It's a horrible problem to have as a lesbian. And but everything was fine. So I decided not to go public about it, because I didn't want sympathy. I don't want people they already knew about my struggle. I didn't need them to know that I just had another scare. But then on Dragula, we talked about it, because I did want people to know, but I didn't know when the right time was, and Dragula was it.
Yeah, well, Dragula was it, and we're going to be getting all into that. But before that, make sure you're following Landon Cider on all social media, and follow us at Hey Qween TV on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, J-Date, Black People Meet, Christian Mingle. Erica, make up a website now.
wolfleatherdaddy.com.
I knew that's what you were going to say, Erica. Well done.
Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, Cameo.
Yes. All right, well, let's get into it.
Get into it. Get into it.
Landon, we're going to talk all about your winning run on Dragula.
I am ready.
Season 3. So you waited till season 3. The production values were higher than ever, but also the anticipation and the competition was harder than ever, I bet.
For me, it was, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it was quite a cast. You, Dahlia Black, Priscilla Chambers, Louisiana Purchase, Eva Destruction, Madeline Hatter, Hallow Eve, Maxi Glamour, Yovska, I hope I said that right, St. Lucia, and Valencia. Honey, that's not a cast of Shrinking Violets. That is a cast of warriors of drag.
Oh yes, oh yes. I walked into that first day and I saw all of those talented bitches, and I knew like, okay, I gotta bring it. Yeah.
So now people have been encouraging you to audition for Dralia, but you didn't do it for season 1 or 2?
Right, the Ballets. I've been working with the Ballets for many years.
Yeah.
I've been working on their Dragula, the pageant, before it was a TV show.
Of course.
Queen Con, and so actually it was shortly after The Advocate, the article came out when they were casting for season 1. They reached out and asked me if I was interested in auditioning for season 1. And they reached out for season 2 as well. So they've always been open-minded and wanted a multi-diverse cast on their show. But I had previously signed my rights away for other projects that still, we don't know what happened to those projects, but
Yeah, we've all been there.
but at the time, my rights were signed away, so I couldn't audition for them. So season 3 came along. I was free to do whatever I wanted, and what I wanted was to be on Dragula, because for season 1, they paid with that out of the lint of their pockets. You know, like you were right along with them. So you saw that there was a beautiful, beautiful potential with what they were putting there. But it's just, this is the first season. This is what is you got to kind of take what you can get, and knowing that they were part of your team too was such a beautiful thing, because I knew that was already going to be in the right direction when they team up with you, and knowing that, seeing what they had, their vision, that camera, the art that they were portraying, the potential was there. Season 2 was like, this is what a little bit more money can bring you, and that went up. And again, the artistry, it's something different you haven't seen in other competitive shows like that. They were really elevating the art, and the angles and the camera and the photography was so beautiful, and the lighting, it was so thought out, and storytelling. And I love a good story.
Yeah.
And so I knew I wanted to audition for season 3, and thank the
That sounds like
that
a
was
spooky
really
crowd.
perfect.
The Boulet brothers are in the rafters.
Fucking Halloween is not over, bitch. Spooky ooky.
Was that a sound effect or a real crowd? The Boulet brothers are here, the former Ravens. So you get on and you get in the room. What are your thoughts when you see all those queens? You're there, you wanted to get on Drag Race all these years, and now, sweetie, the cameras are on and it's your moment. How are you feeling?
Insecure as fuck, overwhelmed as fuck. I knew that the pressure was on. I had the responsibility to represent this whole community that I don't accurately represent. I'm just only me. I'm only my type, but I also knew that I was going to be the king of the cast. Once I looked around, I didn't know if there was going to be other kings there. I had no idea. And so when I walked in and I counted everyone, I asked producer how many of us, because they don't answer, they don't talk to you. They're like, nope, you're on ice, you can't talk to anyone, and we're not going to answer any questions. So they answered that this was the whole cast, so I knew that I was the only king, and then that added that extra pressure.
And so you were like, it's on my shoulders.
The pressure is on.
That is a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and then just seeing what these other contestants were bringing and what their looks were, and Eva Destruction, and you know.
Legend.
Yeah, and I've worked with her multiple times before that, so I knew, not just from videos, but in real life, she's a powerhouse entertainer. And I knew I had my work cut out for me, but I also wasn't about to give up either.
Hello, children. Click here. Click here. And subscribe. You're welcome.